A major Canadian terrorism investigation is underway. A bomb plot uncovered. The intended target, a major Canadian city. The attack allegedly planned for a public area to exact maximum casualties. A terror suspect is dead. The man's name is Aaron Driver. He was believed to be an ISIS sympathizer and the lone suspect in a suicide bomb plot. CTV's Nicole Lampa is in Strathroy on the street where this unfolded last night. Nicole, what's happening there now?
Nancy, as you can see, this normally quiet street is still closed off with police tape. Last night it was filled with RCMP officers as a dramatic scene unfolded. Tactical units staked out this Strathroy house yesterday afternoon. Residents say they heard gunshots on this normally quiet street. Maria Mello lives next door and explains what she saw.
I heard the police talk inside the house. They put all the cars to the driveway in the house. They have the dogs and everything.
She says she saw snipers positioned on the lawn across the street. Then in the evening, another flurry of police activity.
I think the way I see, they try to talk to see if he comes outside, if he surround him. But then we heard like explosion, something like that. Then I never heard, and at that time I don't know if they kill him.
Early this morning, police pulled a body from the home.
It wasn't a huge concern until the people came running out of the walkway, and then we just locked everybody up in the house and waited to hear what was going on.
Now, residents of both sides of the street that the house is on, they've been forced out of their homes. They were forced out last night, and there's no word as to when they'll be able to return. As for this morning, a caravan of police and canine units arrived as part of this investigation, and the street remains closed. Nancy.
Nicole Lampa reporting for us live in Strathroy. And this incident may not be confined to Strathroy. Police have also set up a command post outside Wilfrid Jury Public School in northwest London. Residents say there is an armored car behind the school. The area was locked down yesterday evening and remained that way until the early morning hours. London police say all this was on behalf of the RCMP, but would not confirm it has any relation to what is happening in Strathroy. So who was this so-called lone wolf, Aaron Driver? We know Driver was on the radar of authorities for expressing support for the Islamic State and encouraging ISIS sympathizers to carry out violent attacks here in Canada. CTV's Megan Furman joins us now with more on this. Megan, authorities originally labeled Driver as someone who talked about violence, but not necessarily someone who would carry out an attack.
And clearly something changed, Nancy. 24-year-old Driver is originally from Winnipeg, but he's been living in Strathroy and may have been working at an auto parts manufacturer there. Those who knew him are stunned to hear what's happened.
Aaron Driver first attracted the attention of CSIS when he tweeted support for ISIS. It followed the October 2014 attack by Michael Zehaf-Bibeau on Parliament Hill that left Corporal Nathan Cirillo dead. Driver allegedly encouraged other ISIS sympathizers to carry out similar attacks. UW professor Lauren Dawson studies radicalization and previously met with Driver.
When we talked with him, we found him to be, as is often the case, a pretty articulate, bright young man. He had some very extreme views that, of course, most Canadians would find disturbing, but he didn't come across as a kind of, crazy or unbalanced person, but he did come across a bit vulnerable.
Driver was never charged. Instead, he was ordered to comply with dozens of conditions, including wearing a GPS bracelet. This past February, he was allowed to remove the bracelet, but was placed under a strict peace bond that, among other things, banned him from using a computer or cell phone or communicating with anyone involved with ISIS. Court documents say there were reasonable grounds to fear that he may participate, contribute directly or indirectly in the activity of a terrorist group. Dawson says the peace bond likely kept him very isolated.
I suspect the peace bond in this case, caused him to feel cut off from sources of support, social support he'd come to rely on. He lost his sense of focus in the world. He probably tried to moderate his views, but found there was nothing else meaningful in his life.
Now, driver's lawyer told the Canadian press last night that he was shocked to hear about the takedown in Strathroy and that he'd not been in contact with driver since last February. And Nancy, those peace bond restrictions were to end on August 31st. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Megan. Now, this takedown played out in the small town of Strathroy. The town is about 150 kilometers southwest of Kitchener and has a population of just 21,000 residents. It is primarily rural. We're joined now by CTV's Lena Latifat, also in Strathroy. Lena, this is a quiet community, clearly not sure how to deal with all of this.
Nancy, what I'm hearing from residents today is that they want answers for themselves, for their neighborhoods, their families, their children. Heavy police presence, barricades on so many streets, clearly what this community isn't used to, and a huge sense of shock here as well. Now, as for the residents that were not asked to leave their homes yesterday, some of them are out today speaking to police. They're speaking to CTV News, other residents trying to figure out what exactly happened, what this means for them. Take a look at some of that updated reaction.
Things happening in different places. Nobody ever works alone. I think they should let people know what's happening. I mean, there's a lot of kids around here. Their homes, they're, small town. You're scared to let your kids out now.
In Strathroy, that's crazy.
Drove down here and at the variety store, it was blocked off. I thought it was a shooting there or something, but then later on I find out that this was like a terrorist from ISIS. Scary.
We heard the bang, didn't know what it was, wasn't too concerned about it at the time. I'm worried for the family that did live there. The kids go to school with them.
And tonight at 6, we'll bring you the latest on everything you need to know about how this community is holding up and reacting to what could have been disaster. Nancy.
Lena Latifat live in Strathroy. Now, the RCMP will hold a news conference at 1:30 this afternoon. They're expected to release more information on the takedown and the potential target. We will be streaming that news conference live on our website, kitchener.ctvnews.ca. We're going to return now to our lead story. A terrorist plot foiled, one man dead. It happened in southwestern Ontario on a quiet street in Strathroy. CTV's Nicole Lampa is on Park Street. Nicole, what have residents been saying to you this morning?
Nancy, a few of the residents that we spoke to who live on the same street tell us they heard gunshots and an explosion. It all unfolded yesterday. A police presence began in the afternoon. Snipers became visible, and in the evening, police were seen and heard negotiating with 23-year-old Aaron Driver, and that's when he was shot and killed. Authorities say Driver was planning to carry out a bomb attack on a major Canadian city. More details are expected in about half an hour. The RCMP will be holding a press conference in Ottawa at 1 o'clock. Nancy.
All right, thank you. Nicole Lampa in Strathroy. Returning to our top story now, a terror suspect killed in Strathroy. We go back to CTV's Nicole Lampa on Park Street once again. Nicole, what's happening there now?
Well, Nancy, all is quiet, but this street remains closed. Yesterday, RCMP moved in on a home about 100 meters right behind me. Just a few moments ago, we saw some police officers taking photos of what appears to be the driveway. We know that 23-year-old Aaron Driver was shot and killed. Authorities tell us that Driver was planning a bomb attack on a major Canadian city. RCMP are expected to provide more details in just a few moments. They will be holding a press conference in Ottawa at 1 o'clock. We will be streaming that live on our website, and we will have full coverage on this story tonight at 6. Nancy.
Nicole Lampa live in Strathroy.